Want to chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN program?
How can they do that?
Make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryan text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
Keep it clean and respectful or you'll get blocked. That's the way it is. We make the rules. We lay down the laws and break them when Josie comes home. Couple 13-14 past, Common Man program. As always, we do a little, start the 1 o'clock hour with a little 5, 3, 4.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4.
Brought to you by Willow River Company.
Question number 1.
We're gonna win, Twins, we're gonna score.
It's now time to delve deep into Twins territory.
You like this club, don't you?
I like that Saints club last night. That's what I like.
They're good, aren't
They
they?
were hitting the ball around the park last night.
And that is a fun atmosphere. I like the quaintness of the ballpark.
Oh, yeah.
It's just I just love it. I went there last year with Potato.
Well, because the weather wasn't great, there's not a lot of people there.
Right.
So you can get like just phenomenal seats. Mm-hmm. The Twins beat the Astros 4-1 yesterday at Target Field, completing their 9-game homestand with a 5-4 record. Joe Ryan allowed 1 run across 6 innings, striking out a season-high 9 batters. The Twins pitching staff in total had 15 strikeouts and no walks. Ryan Kreidler hit a 3-run homer. Victor Caratini added a solo shot. Common, what sticks out to you from yesterday's Twins win?
Souhan's piece. He thinks it's only the beginning. If you read it, we have more arms than we've ever had. Now, he does say, buyer beware. It is early, but already starting to set the stage for silver linings. And again, I love Jim, and I like him as a writer. I think he's a terrific columnist, and I agree with much of what he writes. But he doing we're only a game and a half out of the wild card, which is true. But even if if you're the 8th seed in the playoffs, that's all. If the Twins were to make the postseason, not like, I know it's the chip and a chair and a chance, but it's nothing to get that excited about. It's a terrible league they're in. The league is just awful. The division's even worse than the league overall, and so making postseason play, if it holds the line the way it has been now, you almost want to say, we're just not even going to accept the postseason berth. We're just out because we don't deserve it. No, none of the wild cards in the American League deserve it. They're just, they technically they get in because that's the record, but they're not going to beat anybody. But they finally won a series for the first time in a while. Maybe they've
No, they've actually won a couple lately.
Have they won a couple?
Yeah,
Okay.
like 3 of their last 4 they've won the series.
In the the starting staff, they have had some kids that are getting their first real taste of big league baseball, pitching well. I think more than anything, it's Ryan's performance, because it was just 2 starts ago, I think. Wasn't it 2 starts ago? He left after 9 pitches because he had an elbow problem. And when a pitcher leaves after 9 pitches for an elbow problem, you're thinking, right, there's something seriously wrong there. Yet he was fine. I don't even think he missed a start. I think he 5 days later he started, and he was really good last night. Now, again, full disclosure, it was Astros. Are they any good? Are they still the trash can beating Astros, or are they a different version? You beat a major league team, you beat a major league team. I'm really not trying to.
They're 20-31.
Yeah. So again, it's like better to win those games than lose them, but it's not like they beat the mighty Yankees or anything. But it's nice to see a win. And look, I'll be the first to admit, if late in the year, if we're in September, approaching October, and we're in the running, I'll tune in for a few games if we're in the running for a wild card spot. But I still think the team is they need a closer. They don't have one, and some of their silver lining guys, Larnach down, Lewis set down. It's just not what it was. What we were hoping it was going to be.
I'm going to give you some St. Paul Saints observations.
Okay.
Just off of the one game I've seen all year, so we're just going to take a very small sample size.
Gotcha.
But off of one game, you got to get Kyler Fedko up here right now. He was 4 for 5 last night. He had 2 bombs.
Something like 4 for 5, or was he?
He was. Okay. He also had 2 doubles, I believe. So He was a machine last night. And then the first baseman, Aaron Sabato. That guy's he can hit. He can play. They also had some pitchers. They only went 2 innings with, where is he? Aaron Rozek. So I didn't get to see him over a 6-7. They pulled him after 2.
Yeah.
But he looked really, really good. And he
like this club.
He has fun out there. He's laughing and smiling with his teammates.
He's back at it.
Yeah.
He is. Yeah. Well, good for him.
So I think those 3 need to get called up.
Well,
for the Minnesota Twins.
Here's what I'll tell. I'm gonna take I'm gonna go out on a limb. We might see him in the next week or 2 if things continue as they have been here in Minnesota.
Question number 2.
Time now for an in-depth look at the state of hockey.
Joe Smith of The Athletic wrote a story today about forward Nick Foligno, who is an unrestricted free agent this summer. Nick could potentially return this summer to the Wild, though retirement is an option as well. Comment, should the Wild bring back Nick to play a full season with his brother Marcus?
Well, if it's just because the brothers want to play together, no. If he would genuinely help the team win more games, and I'm all for it. You know how cute it would be. We really, we should let the brothers play with each other. Same thing. That's why I asked you before when we were talking about all these Hughes. How many Hughes kids are there? Like 9 or 10 in the league?
3.
3. And they want to play together. Well, that's all fine and good, but just because they want to play together doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a good match. But as you say, is it Jack Hughes is a terrific player, right? I mean,
yes.
he's really, really good. And then the third Hughes he's good. He's just not.
His quality is not the elite level of the other 2.
So, I mean, does Foligno help him win or not? Do you think? Is he a difference maker? I guess as I'm asking.
I think he'd be one of those that if he threw this out to listeners, that people would be split on him, if Wild fans, because I think a lot of the fan base goes, he's too slow. He's not going to score a ton. And they always want the hope of someone who can, they don't want to shut out the next potential 30-goal scorer from being in our lineup. But I like him. I think he's a quality player. He is versatile in that he can play center or wing, which when you do have injuries or, if one of your centers like a Urab is in the doghouse or not winning faceoffs, he's flexible enough to do that, which also helps on the penalty kill, which he's a good penalty killer. But then you can also have 2 guys out there that can take draws in case the first guy gets kicked out of the circle. He's can play physically. He's pretty composed with a puck on his stick. He can score occasionally. Obviously, he had the 2 goals in their final game of the season that they lost. But he can add occasionally on offense. And from all accounts, he's got good leadership skills in the locker room. So for a 4th liner, if he's coming back on a super cheap deal, I would be very interested in bringing him back.
Then I am too. I'm with you, Jolly Green Giant.
Question number 3.
Oh, I guess, right?
I'm going to say something controversial.
That's interesting.
It's time now for the controversial question of the day.
And you're going to like it because it's a golf-related controversial question of the day.
Okay.
All right, you have to pick one of these options.
Should common man have walked off the golf course today? Do you look down on me for that?
I mean, I've done it before.
Yeah.
It's been a while, but
I didn't do it in anger. I'm not playing well. I have things to do. I wouldn't leave a solo out there. Tenny, you're on your own. Though you'd probably rather play by yourself than play with me. But, my boy and his buddy were there, and Worlds is there. They're fine. Maybe they were happy I was gone. I don't know. I didn't ask them. Didn't give them a chance to. Anyway, I'm sorry.
All right, so you got to pick one option.
Okay.
You have to break 100 from the tips. Here are your 4 options. 14 clubs, and if you break 100, you get $1,000. 10 clubs. If you break 100, you get $10,000. 5 clubs, you break 100, you get $100,000. Or 2 clubs for $100 million. Which option are you picking?
Is it Como? Where am I playing?
Let's just say Prestwick. Prestwick from the tips.
From the tips.
You have to break 100. Which of those options are you choosing?
Well, here's what I'll tell you. I'm a maximum risk, maximum profit guy. I mean, how announcing the 4th pick in the National Football League draft for the Vikings would be life-changing according to Charch? Did you say $100 million?
$100 million.
That's life-changing. Now, what I tell people all the time, though, $100 million after taxes is really like $60 million. And then you're going to be honest with you, I'm going to buy a car, I'm going to buy a house, going to save, spend, invest, use, flaunt.
Which 2 clubs would you use, though?
You'd have to use driver. You'd have to. Because I'm from the tips, heck, I can only hit my driver 2/3. There's no way I could break 100.
So you got a driver 7-iron, and then what are you putting with?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I guess I was setting up to say I like maximum risk, maximum profit, but I don't think there's any. I know there is 0 chance I could break 100 with just 2 clubs from the tips. So how many clubs do I get for? What was the next price?
For $100,000, can you do it with 5 clubs for $100,000?
Driver. And I got to have a hybrid because I don't have a fairway wood that I can trust. So it's a hybrid. And I probably would do 6-iron, wedge. God, and then what wedge would I use? I mean, I don't think I'd want pitching wedge. Well, maybe because then a putter. And then now, how many clubs do I get with?
5 clubs for $100,000.
Did you have a 14 club?
Well, there's a 14 club for $1,000.
Oh.
10 clubs for $10,000.
I'd do 10 for 10 grand because I just don't know from if you were saying the white tees, I'd probably do that 100,000 one. White tees.
I think the 10 clubs, 10,000 is very doable.
Yes, I think it is.
The 5 clubs for $100,000 would be. Maybe you and I should do this for digital. We go play Prestwick from the tips with 5 clubs and see what our scores can be.
I like it. Let's do it. Oh, that's the behind-the-scenes stuff you're talking about.
And we can put it on digital.
Oh, I think that's not a half bad idea.
But what 5 clubs would you pick? I think I'd go driver, putter, sand wedge, 7-iron.
Yes, I'd go 6-iron. I'd go driver hybrid. I'd go with a hybrid because when I hit the drive there from the tips, I have to have another club that goes, and I got to be able to have another club that I can get close to 200 yards. My hybrid is, if I kill it, it's like 190. So I have to have the driver, the hybrid, probably a 6-iron. Then I think I would do a 52-degree wedge rather than a sand wedge because 52 is a little more versatile. If I need 4 degrees, I just open it up a little bit, and then the putter, Maybe we should give it a try. Digital.
And that's it for today's edition of 5 Questions. Well, actually, 3 questions, but 5 sounds like more than 4.
Somebody asked a question about one of your questions, and that was the question I was going to ask about that question. So we'll do that on the other side of the break.
What if I have a question about the question they were going to ask about the question?
Well, then we'll try to answer all of them the best we can. Brought to you by Willow River Company, your outdoor living experts. Irrigation systems, they'll install them. If you have one now that's not working right, they'll tweak that. They do tree stuff. They know deciduous. They know coniferous. They'll keep pests away from them. They'll remove trees if you need them. They'll prune them. They'll do everything for you. They're your outdoor living experts. So reach out to them today at willowrivercompany.com. Please do so, willowrivercompany.com. 10B's got a keyword now, too.
Yeah, the fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Just enter the keyword deposit at KFAN.com now for your shot at winning. That keyword is deposit. Enter now at KFAN.com.
The Common Man.
Where's the off button on this moron?
Weekdays at noon on The Fan.
From the one.
KFAN welcomes some great shows to Mystic Lake Amphitheater. The Guess Who.
I'm up all night to get lucky.
We'll be there June 25th. 311.
I'm going to pop some tags. I got $20 in my pocket.
And Dirty Heads.
Well, you can tell I'm a woman's man. No time for talk. Staying alive.
On July 11th, and John Mellencamp.
Don't do me like that. Don't do me like that.
We'll be there July 14th. Get the complete details on all of our upcoming shows in the concert page at KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
I mentioned this yesterday, but it's worth repeating. My pals at Lano Equipment, they have 3 locations. They're in Shakopee, Loretto, and Anoka. They're offering a special for KFAN listeners. They have a limited supply of new Toro 30-inch E-Time Master 60-volt mowers, lawnmowers. Sticker price, $22.99. If you mention KFAN, it's yours for $11.99. $1,100 savings. While supplies last. That's at Lano Equipment. LanoEquip.com, LanoEquip.com, all 3 locations. New Toro 30-inch E-Time Master 30-volt mower, normal price $22.99. You say, I heard about it from Comment on the Fan, $11.99. Pretty good deal. That's Lano.
I might have to go there myself.
Yeah, you can't. That's a pretty good savings. That's a great savings. Not pretty good. It's terrific. I talked about Jim Souhan. He wrote a piece on the Twins today about Twins trade deadline sell-off worked, but the Polehead should have spent more this offseason. And he says the players that we received, especially the pitchers that we received for the fire sale, they're starting to pan out. Now, again, he does say, and this is important, we've seen many players have mediocre rises. Freudian slip. Meteoric rises.
We have seen many mediocre rises, actually.
That's true. We've seen many meteoric, and then they end up either arm trouble or just it doesn't, there's no stay-to-itiveness. It just doesn't work that way. But it's nice to see players you've traded for, particularly pitchers, because if you pitch and play defense, you do what, Tenneby?
You have yourself a chance to win the ball game.
That is exactly right. And so that's what they've done. He does say they should have spent more in the offseason, which is different because most of the time the Polehead pocket protectors would always say, don't spend any money. But there's one at the very end of his piece, he writes, hold on, here it is. It says, the popular argument that the Twins should spend big money every year because they open a new ballpark in 2010 is not logical. Target Field didn't give the Twins a competitive advantage. It allowed them to catch up to other middle market, low revenue teams that already had ballparks. What Target Field should have created is an eagerness from ownership to find a way to be competitive every year. The last paragraph, last sentence, he's correct. The other one, and I may have missed it, but I don't know of anybody, any media member or fan that said they think the Twins should spend big money every year. I've never said that. I've never said that. What I've said is I use my Age of Aquarius, song by the Fifth Dimension. When the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, it is the dawning of the Age of Aquarius. And so for me, it's if you think you have a team, like let's say you've lost 18 consecutive postseason games, and you cobble together a roster in which you qualify for the playoffs, and you beat that, you snap that losing streak, not only do you win a game, but you win a series. Well, now you have something to build with. You've got a good nucleus for a roster, a decent pitching staff, some bullpen. You have to have all of it. You have to have some of all of that, of all those pieces. You have to have some really good everyday players that could hit and play defense. You have to have some good bullpen guys and some good starting pitchers because you don't make postseason play if you don't. Unless it's the American League in 2026. But then what they did is they right-sized the payroll. They cut payroll. Not only did they not add to it, but they cut it. And I know they're not going to. I've given them that. Okay, yeah, you don't want to spend and they could. We've talked about this so many times that all of these owners for all the teams and all the sports are billionaires. They have more money than they know what to do with. And so if they, in a non-salary cap league, if the Twins really wanted to, they could pour more money into it. Now, I don't expect them to spend $300 million a year like the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Mets. No, I'm not saying that. But every once in a while, when that window's open, you strike. And then you make that run. Either you win a World Series, get there, lose in the playoffs, and all of a sudden guys leave, trade, and then all of a sudden, well, then you dial it back and go, okay, let's go ahead and try to start climbing that hill again. So I never heard anybody say that they should spend money over and over and over again. And they were the ones that said, the Twins did say, we cannot compete unless we build a new stadium. They competed for a year or two, and that's basically it. Part of that is, that's kind of like a shell game. Yeah, we know. I mean, he writes that it allowed them to catch up to other middle market, low revenue teams that already had ballparks. Right, but they still basically, they did a full court press day, and the powers that be in this city that didn't want to lose the Twins, and remember, keep the Twins downtown, just like keep the Vikings downtown. Those were decisions that weren't made by the general public, folks. Those were made by the heavy hitters behind the scenes that said, we need those stadiums downtown because that will help downtown. We don't care about Arden Hills. Let Arden Hills suffer on their own. For Minneapolis, we need Minneapolis to be vibrant. And to be vibrant, we have that U.S. Bank Stadium. Not only do we have 10 Viking games a year, but we have concerts, tractor pulls, hot dog eating contests. We have all kinds of things we can do with that. And we don't want to lose Target Field because we can have concerts at that place as well. So no one's asked them to spend a lot of money every year. It's just when you have a full moon, when the house is, when the age of Aquarius is there, is when you should do that. And I think, Tammy, don't you think that's kind of what you felt all along too? Is that every once in a while you got to say, let's push our, it's like a poker tournament. There's sometimes you're in it, right? You get to the final table. It's time to go all in. You push all your chips in the middle of the table. Say, I'm going to win this hand.
Well, and what really broke the straw's back or the camel's back or whatever the cliche is the Twins had finally gotten over the hump and had as much people liking ownership as they've ever had.
Correct.
And then they opted to immediately cut payroll.
Yep.
When you'd finally won a playoff series. You'd finally broken the streak of not winning a playoff game. You won a playoff series. And then your first decision was, well, let's cut some payroll now.
Yes, that's exactly right.
It was terrible timing. It was they scored an own goal.
We'll talk about the Tim Connelly, what he had to say about the Wolves season and what he's going to do in the future. It raises some interesting issues, and it's controversial to say the least, which is what the Common Man program is all about. Controversy. Jenna and Common continue after this here on The Fan.
The Common Man.
It's free to win $1,000 every weekday. That's every hour from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. To enter the keywords and learn more, head to KFAN.com. Bonus Bucks is presented by BigDeck.com.
Double 13-14 pastime Common. He is Tenneby. No Mark Rosen. He's out. He should return next Tuesday at 2 o'clock. We look forward to that. I'm out tomorrow, per usual, my customary 4-day Memorial Day weekend. And then on Monday, I always pay my respects to my Uncle Werner, who served in the big one, WW2. And he's buried at Fort Snelling National Cemetery. So I like to go there. And if you've never been there during, I've run into Creasel there a couple of times too. And it's awe-inspiring when you see every single tombstone has a little American flag by it. And you see the families that come to pay their respects to their loved ones who have, and not everybody is was killed in action. There's a lot of people, they serve their country, and like my uncle passed away and at the age of 76, I believe he was, and didn't have ain't got a lot of money, and so they allow veterans to be buried there and family members, I think, too. So there you go. Wolves, after back-to-back Western Conference Finals appearances, only get to the semis this year. They get upended by the San Antonio Spurs, 4-2. Tim Connelly addressed the media for his end-of-season news conference on Tuesday. He said, quote, "The equation changes when you see the two teams playing in the Western Conference Finals right now and how good they are. We got smacked by Oklahoma City last year. We got smacked by San Antonio this year, and we know they're teams we have to beat. Denver, they're a world champion team and have the best player in the world, so we know our competition is not going to sit still, and nor will we." Which I like to hear, nor will we. Same thing that Bill Guerin, we will not sit still. They both swing for the fences. That can be good and bad. I like the effort. Though you're open, because you're in that chair, you need to stay in that chair. Sometimes it's hard to stay in that chair because you leave that chair not because you want to leave it, because ownership wants you to leave, because sometimes when you swing for the fences and you're short of the fences, you'll be shown the door. And that happens a lot, but, I like guys that give it a shot. They just to sit on your hands and hope, well, maybe if we just, run it back, we can return to those thrilling days of yesteryear. That's always possible, but generally you have to tweak things, especially when the competition in front of you gets better. But one thing I would ask her, would you consider Joker the best player in basketball? I think Wemby's taken that over, and I know it's early. And I would think most people would have said Joker's the best player. I mean, the best player in the league, but I think it's Wembanyama myself. But
the defense ain't close between those two. I can tell you that.
Well, that's it. That's the key, I think. That's the key.
I'd rather have Joker with the ball in his hands than Victor Wembanyama, but the margin between Joker and Victor on offense is much smaller than the margin between Victor and Joker on defense.
Chris Hine, beat writer for Fish Rat Factory Westside for the Wolves, writes, expect Connelly to have a busy offseason looking for deals that will remake the Wolves roster. Expect them to be among the suitors for Bucks star Antetokounmpo until there is finally the resolution of the drama in Milwaukee. Connelly, per league rules, can't publicly discuss any specific trade targets, but here are some key quotes and takeaways from the 26-minute session. He said, we have to be realistic about what we have, which is way more good than bad, but know that we're not good enough right now. He says, Io is our most important free agent. He's a guy we thought we knew pretty well. We liked him from afar. Now seeing him day to day, we love him. I think he fits in not just on the court, but off the court. I think his best basketball is in front of him. Then Hine goes on to write, when Connelly speaks as glowingly about a player as he did Io, he typically finds a way to get a deal done. The Wolves have his bird rights, so they can exceed the mid-level exception, projected to be about $15 million to bring him back, giving them a leg up on several teams that might not be able to do so. So Hine says, and I agree, expect Io to return. On the moodiness of the team, I don't remember when that word first started to be used regarding.
It's going to be their new buzzword.
Yeah, it was just in the last few weeks. I don't think they were saying it earlier in the year. It says, after the season, players opened up about the moodiness of the team during the regular season, how it was hard to keep everyone moving in the same direction if players weren't getting their complement of shots or points at given times. I'm not touching the ball enough. How might that play into the moves Connelly makes? Here's what he said. The guys will tell you it's the thing that most drives me nuts because these are all really good people. Our team is full of great guys. They don't always play well, just like I don't always do my job well. But as human beings, they're great. I've never won a championship, so I can't tell you how to win it. But I've absorbed enough to know that you can't string together bad days. I think a little bit of that is an excuse making. That is excuse making after a poor end to the season. He mentioned emotional maturity would be a focus of the team this offseason. He says, there's too many nights when we were not as locked in as we should be, and that's unacceptable, plain and simple. God, where have I heard that before? Oh, I think the common man's been saying that since the beginning of the season, and I was told to stick to golf. Leave the basketball analysis to the professionals. Leave that to the basketball community, the people that actually watch. Think about it. I was able to tell you that without even watching a game. It's not that hard to figure out. When you go into games, when your star player 2 weeks into the season says, just seems like we don't want to play these games. We don't want to play. We just want to go right to the playoffs. It doesn't work that way, Ant. It just doesn't. Be nice, but it doesn't work that way. Here's what he said about Randall's season, because Randall caught a lot of heat. As well as he played last year and as good as he was and helped the team get to the Western Conference Finals, he was probably just as bad this year down the stretch. Here's what Connelly said. I thought Julius was fantastic to start the season. He'll be the first to tell you he didn't play his best basketball versus San Antonio. I think his playmaking, I think his on-ball defense, his physicality was really impactful, so we don't win because of one player, lose because of one player. We have to look at the collective, me included, the whole building. What can we all do better to ensure that we don't have the same result next season? So he didn't really, he almost kind of avoided the question, right? There are those that feel Randall's got to go, that he will go, but what do you get for him? Now he's not making a ton. $30 million ain't going to get you the great foo, and that's what he's making, right? Is he a $30 million guy? I just don't know who, if any team that watched that performance in the playoffs. Now again, everybody can have a bad stretch. San Antonio's awfully good, and I think he was, a lot of the time, he was supposed to try to slow down Wembanyama, and that's going to be hard for anybody, right? I mean, Gobert couldn't do it, your mama couldn't do it, your daddy couldn't do it, the police can't do it, nobody seems to be able to do it. Berenger came up in the conversation. And if you'll remember at the beginning of the season, Tenneby, Rosen talked about, well, he'll be down at the D-League. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why? And Rosen, again, going with the conventional wisdom, just how it's always done. Just like, you never make trades before the trade deadline. You just don't do that. Why? Well, because you just don't. Well, there's no rule that says you can't. You don't need to start a guy like Berenger down and they didn't. They didn't put him there. But he didn't play very often. And if you're going to play your core players like the Wolves did and still only win 49 games like you did the year before, well, the hell with that then. Don't play those guys. Bench them. Gobert said it. Remember Gobert said, he basically said this, he said it without saying it. He said it was on the coach. Bench the players that don't want to play hard every game, that don't want to play defense, that don't want to play.
What a concept.
In a team structured format. Even one of the players is saying it. Throw Berenger in. I guarantee you he would be further along in his development had they played him significant minutes during the regular season. When guys don't want to play, get them out of there. If you don't want to earn your minutes, you're out. And I know that's hard in this day and age when the players, you're paying them that kind of money, and the fans are paying big money for tickets to watch those so-called star players play. But if they're not giving 100% effort, if you're going James Harden on the, I still can't believe what I saw on that highlight reel the other night when Brunson really didn't even, it wasn't like he was making MJ kind of moves or Anthony Edwards moves. He was just doing crossover dribbles and watching what's his face Harden just stand there spinning around like a top. Here's what he said about Berenger. We think his future is unbelievably bright. I would think he'll be a multi-position defender. He's a guy that has the complete faith and buy-in of not just our coaching staff, but most importantly, the other players on the team. They believe in him. So we think he's going to be a really impactful piece moving forward. I hope that starts right away next year. How are you going to coddle him and bring him along? Expanded role of Berenger would signal the team shifting its focus to a younger core around Edwards, McDaniels, Nas, and Ayo. They're all 26 or younger. Here's what Connelly said. I like our collective sub-26 core. While certainly we're not happy how the season ended, we don't want to be dismissive of a lot of positive things that happen. I'm still searching for those, but I can't find them. I said that, not the general manager. I think we've learned to win in the postseason, but also I think we haven't learned enough to win, and they know yeah, I don't know.
We've learned how to win, but not enough how to win.
Yeah. And then when he talks about both Connelly and Finch admitted Edwards probably had the ball in his hands too much initiating the offense, sapped his energy, couldn't play as well in the defensive end. He says, I think when we have a top player in the world in Anthony, and we're pretty aware of the guys who can most not just help but also protect him, and those skill sets are something we're going to look forward to adding more of as we're building this summer. Connelly said he didn't want every shot for Edwards to be a hard shot, and the team could also lean into McDaniels as a playmaker more, except he seems to be the moodiest one of all. So and the general manager, he might believe everything he said. I'm not making an accusation that he doesn't, but every general manager, it's just, it's part and parcel with the job. You can't go, we're in big trouble. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. You can't say that. And I don't think I think he does know what to do. I think he kind of told us what he needed to do, but he couched it a little bit because he doesn't want to name. You know, you're not going to say, we'd really like to trade Julius Randle. My phone's on right now. If you need my phone number, if you're another general manager anywhere, here it is. 612-331-PANIC. You know, I think they're in a little bit more trouble than and a lot of it, it's not just the moodiness, the lack of effort, and some pieces that I think just aren't that really as good as other people think. But it's also the two teams ahead of them. And like I talked about when I talked with Big Ticket, and he's right, those teams might not stay healthy forever. They'll have to play some players. They're going to get second aprons, third aprons, fourth aprons, your mama's apron, your grandma's apron, Betty Crocker's apron, and the next thing you know, you'll have to part ways with players. But right now, as we see it, those two teams, they seem to be 1A and 1B, and then it's a big drop till you get to the next group, I think. You know?
Well, in San Antonio specifically, as long as Victor's there,
right.
Like you don't need the most talented trio there.
That's correct.
With him.
That is correct. Yeah, because he does so many. I mean,
I think the one decision I think the Wolves are going to have this summer is they're probably in that spot where we need to get out of this Rudy Gobert contract while we can.
Yeah.
You know, the longer it goes, the harder it is to. Now, I guess we are in the NBA where it's a league where teams will just take bad contracts on just because it's going to be expiring. So
right.
I get that can happen, but like his value is going down compared to his contract. So it's like, well, let's get out as early as we can on it. Yet Béranger is probably, I'm guessing, not ready to take over in 2026, 2027. Right? So it's, well, if you hold on to Gobert, then you risk him devaluing himself even more. If you let him go, is Béranger ready for that role right now?
Yeah. Well, and that's why I tend to agree with you, but I also think that's partly on them because they didn't play him more this past season. And I know you're trying to win games. Like I said, well, half the time it didn't look like they were trying to win games. So because Béranger isn't as far along, that's probably partly on the team. And you're right. It's hard, but I still would, if I could unload Gobert and just have to rely on Béranger, I think I'd do that. I know that's a lot to ask of a young kid who's only been playing hoops for 3-4 years, whatever it is. But I think it's.
Well, I mean, he has the skill set to be a good enough defensively.
Right.
Not ready to put him on Gobert's level defensively because that's hard to match, but it's not like offensively it's hard to match Gobert.
Well, that's exactly right. Also, the discussion has been about Kyrie Irving. And where he might end up. CBS Sports did a story, Kyrie Irving landing spots, 5 possible trade destinations if Mavericks move on. This is good. Dallas Mavericks. Hold on, lost the story. Give me a second. Okay, here we go. Says, all right, hold on. I'm sorry. General manager Nico Harrison was fired. He was fired. And Anthony Davis, the deal shipped. And with Cooper Flag in place, and Masai Ujiri brought in to run the team. I can't say his name. I don't have any idea who this guy is. But here's what he had a quote in here. It says, Kevin Durant once told me there's only one Kyrie walking around in the world, and that's a flat world, in case you're wondering. And if he walks around without somebody helping him, he's going to fall right off the edge. Beware of that with Kyrie. You always have to have someone holding his hand. I think we have to figure out a way how Kyrie fits with our program. I've had those conversations with Kyrie. Up until yesterday, and I think Kyrie will fit. I've said it before. There's a huge curiosity in our minds to see how Kyrie fits playing with Cooper Flag. He's just that kind of incredible talented player, and I think we owe the organization that. That being said, he's 34. Depending upon what you could get for him, it's certainly a possibility that they trade him. And that said 5 possible landing spots, and number 1 on this story's list is the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah.
Number 1 on the list. It says, what does an all-in team do when it needs to go further in? The Timberwolves have invested basically all of their available draft capital into building their current roster. It led to the most successful era in franchise history, but a pretty hard playoff ceiling. They were not competitive with the Thunder last spring. They were not competitive with the Spurs in the last round. Those teams aren't going anywhere. If the goal is to beat them, the Timberwolves are not close. They lack the assets to pursue a younger, healthier star without compromising the rest of the roster. They tried for Antetokounmpo in February, but is pairing him with Edwards worth everything else Minnesota has? They could take a step back, turning older players like Gobert, Randall, and DiVincenzo into younger pieces and draft picks, but doing so with Edwards in his prime is playing with fire. How content would he be to retool? Keeping him happy means trying to win. Trying to win with the tools at their disposal means taking a risk. Minnesota could match money with Randall and DiVincenzo. It doesn't have much draft capital remaining, but the front office can offer number 28 this year, first round swap rights in 2028, valuable since Dallas currently owes a swap to OKC, so almost any secondary swap would be helpful, and an unprotected in 2033 when Irving will likely be retired. If Dallas likes the long-term prospects of Beranger or Terrence Shannon, that greases the wheels here. The Timberwolves needed a number 2 option offensively against San Antonio to prevent doubles and the pressure the Spurs threw at Edwards. Randall wasn't up to it. If Irving is himself next season, Minnesota could have one of the most lethal offensive pairings in the NBA, coupled with the defensive infrastructure provided by McDaniels and Gobert. It's not exactly a haul for Dallas, but the Mavs should expect one for a player as risky as Irving. Tim Connelly is as willing to take risks as any GM in the NBA. There is a clean fit here. And the way it's spelled out there, it does make sense. Do they become one of the most dangerous offensive duos in the league? I'll leave that for the NBA community. I don't know how much Kyrie has left. I don't think I've watched Kyrie play since his days with LeBron and the Cavs. But
we played against the Wolves in a playoff series a couple years ago, but yeah.
Oh yeah,
Him
we
and
did.
Luka.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, we got drilled.
He was pretty good in that series.
He was good in that series. That's right. He was good in that series. I remember that. I was watching up at Grand. It's about this time last year. Yeah, because I'm at Grandview when we're in the conference finals. We're not in the conference finals this year.
2 years ago.
Or 2 years. Yeah, but what I meant is every year I'm up. When they were in the conference finals, the last 2 years, I watched it because I was up in Grandview. Memorial Day weekend is when the teams are in the conference finals. I said this when they traded for Gobert. I thought it was way too much to give up for Gobert. It was like a Herschel Walker trade. But I said it then, and I still believe it. As bad as that franchise has been, the Wolves, up until those 2 Western Conference Finals appearances, I think everybody's aware of this, the worst winning percentage of any team in the major men's North American sports teams. We're talking MLB, NFL, NBA, and NHL. The worst winning percentage. That's the worst team of, there's 32 teams in each league, except I think baseball's 30. Is hockey 32 as well? So you add them up. That's over 120 teams, I think, and you're the worst. And when you're that bad, I'm willing to try anything. And it worked out pretty well. A lot of draft capital, players that maybe were probably dispensable, disposable anyways. But so I was willing to give anything a try, and we did get to the Western Conference Finals with Gobert a couple years in a row, and then we got rid of Big Meow became Bodega Cat. So if it's announced here in the next whenever that the Minnesota Timberwolves have traded for Kyrie Irving, I guess I'm all in, right? Why not? What do you got to lose? I guess you give Connelly a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. We'll take a break, come back, another hour to go. It's Common and 10 to be here on the Common Man program right here on the Fan.
John Driesel and Meat Sauce take on Max Fuller and Parker Fox. Thursday, May 28th at 1:50.